Okay, hello everyone, welcome back. So just two things to mention. Last video I was trying to just play around with these fuel dimension inputs, okay, such as increasing graphite shell thickness and decreasing the annular thickness, meaning the part where the fuel annulus is. Now increasing graphite shell thickness by 0.1 and decreasing fuel annular thickness by 0.1 cm actually decrease K effective a lot. Okay, so it's not good. Now the reactor is subcritical, which is good for safety but not good for operations. So that's not ideal. Okay, so I'm gonna change it back. I'm gonna change it back to the original. I don't want to mess around too much with this. Okay, I mean you can go and play around with the file to see what you can do. Okay, so yeah, so the way to play with it, I guess, is not to play around with the field dimensions, but really to have a second, graphite reflector in the middle of the core to act as a moderator. Okay, much like how you have this this FHR design. Okay, so this is from UC Berkeley and MIT. Okay, so both collaborate, I think. And the other thing is about this what do you call that? This what am I talking about? Yes, the integer bit. Yeah, so to convert a float into integer, you use this int thing, int, then you just put this number. So that actually helps to convert a decimal point float number into an integer properly without using the numpy round or anything like that. Okay, so use int to specify integers. That works way better. Okay, so look at the K effective now, 0.9728. Really not good. Okay, so I'm changing back these fuel dimensions. Okay, I'm changing back these fuel dimensions. Alright. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it. And let's put this. There are two temperatures I actually want to check now. One is 973, which is the upper bound of the operation temperature. One is 873. Okay, it is likely the fuel will get very hot, and I can actually test this at, I think, 1200, because it is a temperature available in both the S alpha beta libraries and also the or normal cross sections. So those, if you have fuel go up to that temperature, okay, if you have fuel go up to that temperature, it should be yeah, it should help to slow down the reaction significantly. Okay, so 1200. But let's put 973, okay, because I know at 953 this configuration will work. Let's try some temperature feedback thing now. Okay, I'm not optimizing this for anything, but I'm just wanting to look at the feedback. Okay, so you look at this, when it goes to 973 now, 973 Kelvin. When I change both fuel and reflector temperature to that much, look at the K effective, it's well, I hope it's dropping. Okay, I hope it's dropping. Now that should be the way it goes. But we'll wait for results. Yeah, because it's always around 1.01 or such. Okay, so you see that there is some feedback. There should be some feedback, and it should be more apparent when yeah, it should be more apparent when you see yeah, when we go to the bottom. Okay, looks good. The K effective is actually dropping. You see the average is 1.0002, think the other time it was 1.004 or 3 or something. I can't remember what it was. I've re-watched the own videos. Yeah, but okay, looks good. The trend is good. There should be some temperature feedback. Okay, 1.00146. Okay, this was actually somewhat lower than the last time round we run. I think we were 1.002 or 1.003. Okay, and let's now just increase the fuel temperature to 1200 just to check if this thing really works. Okay, and I'm going to restart and clear output. Let me actually plot K effective versus temperature. Okay, temperature, K effective. So let's do 873. Okay, let's do a 600. I believe there's a 600 available. Alright, fuel. Okay, temperature of fuel, temperature of reflector. Okay, the reflector one, I'm not going to touch it for now, but we just did 973, sort of a test. Okay, so K effective versus temp. Okay, so that's good. Let me just copy this down. Okay, we'll combine K effective of this much. Okay, there you go. Oopsie. Unformatted text, thank you. Yeah, that's better. Alright. So what else? Yeah, let's push it up to 1200. This fuel. Okay, so I'm going to restart and clear output, and let's run all. Okay, so fuel temperature and 973 is the reflector temperature. So this is sort of to simulate a huge temperature excursion. Right, huge temperature excursion. That means the fuel suddenly heats up a lot, and then the reflector will actually take some time to rise up to that temperature. So let's take a look at the K effective. It ideally should drop below 1, because this is almost 1000 degrees, and if you are not having a below 1 at 1000 degrees, I think I'm in big trouble. Okay, so this is a high temperature excursion. It should help the K effective drop. Alright, so yeah, K effective is below 1001 at this temperature. It should be okay. Alright, so delicate, fingers crossed. Okay, so this is the reactor, which is has these parameters: 100, 20, 70. I think I should start recording all these down in proper Excel sheets. Fuel radius 1.5, annular thickness 0.95, graphite shell thickness 0.1. Okay. Alright, I'm supposed to also plot all of this out for you. I have not started plotting yet, but after some parametric study, I think I'll start plotting to at least show you how to plot. Okay. Anyway, let's take a look at the K effective. Fingers? Yes! That was close. Alright, 0.99863. That's the combined K effective. Alright, and that's good news because it's supposed to drop. And now let's go to the other extreme. Let's say you have a reactor startup, and let's say your fuel is just getting up, Okay, so I don't want to mess around with these parameters anymore. Let's do reactor design here. Okay, and let's put reactor length, thickness, blah blah blah. Oh, okay, good. It pastes nicely in the cell. Okay. Okay, I think now this is good for experimental bookkeeping. Okay, this is the reactor design, reactor dimensions. Okay, so let's see whether it's running. yeah, I need to clear output. So I'll run all. I'll put a 600 Kelvin because again the data is available for oops. Restart and clear all. I forgot to change to 600. 600. Okay, 600. And later, of course, we can deal with the cross sections and look at the flux spectrum. But that's a lot of data. Yeah, a lot of data. All right. Okay, so now K effective looks like it's above 1. Look at this, 1.01. Oh, that's a huge increase. Okay, so yeah, you see the temperature feedback is working very well, at least for this reactor. It's a negative temperature feedback, which is very important. Okay, very important. Alright, so of course you can actually test for lots of other feedback as well. You can look at void feedback, like you change the density of the flux, you change your reactor dimensions a little bit, and you see what happens on the K effective. Alright. So all of these are very standard ways to test for reactivity feedback in using your Monte Carlo code, and all of these inputs you will then put it inside your sort of what do you call that? You put it into your I guess deterministic code file where you have your thermohydraulics and all. Probably combined, right? So anyway, let me just record this and I'll call this a day. Then next video, let's get on with plotting, and then what do we do? Yeah, volumetric calculations, stochastic volume calculations. Oh look, K effective 1.006. Okay, it's an increase now. So now, oh sorry, unformatted text. So now you see there is some trend. When there's the temperature is low, there's a high K effective. Temperature is high, there's a low K effective. This is sort of what you want. Okay, you don't want your reactor to shut down at say 973 Kelvin or 800 degrees C. But yeah, as your temperature keeps increasing, you definitely want to find the place where it starts to shut down, So somewhere in between these temperatures, again, it'll be a little bit difficult to sort of get just the right temperature, because that means you'll have to Doppler broaden all your libraries again using enjoy and the whole process again. But at least for the range from 873 to 973, you have it in 10 Kelvin intervals. You can see clearly what the trend of the K effective is like. All right, so this is how you sort of do feedback stuff, and of course you definitely have to collect your K effective data over a lot of range of temperatures, and you will note, of course, the change in K effective, like percentage change in K effective or just the absolute change as well. These are some of the data you need to collect. There are actually standard ways of doing this, but I will not go into detail here. I'm only showing you, how the Doppler feedback is sort of working. Okay, see the Doppler feedback is working much more now. I mean, I can't quite compare to the old design where the reflector thickness was so thin. But at least for this case, you should be able to see that when we increase the reflector thickness a lot, the flux spectrum in the fuel changes significantly. And then, of course, you have K effective versus temperature, which you can just plot out like that. All right. So this is what the flux spectrum should look like. Okay, fast versus thermal, and then flux distribution, sorry. And this is the flux spectrum. You can see a lot of it shifts to the low energy side. All right, so hope this is satisfying in terms of you seeing some temperature feedback from the reactor, and it should be around the right temperature. 873 again corresponds to 800 degrees C. 1200 actually corresponds to somewhere slightly above 9. Okay, never mind. I can just 927 degrees C. Okay, so somewhere from 800 degrees C to 927 degrees C, the reactor will start to dip in reactivity. So this is a good thing. Okay, this is a good thing. Okay, you don't want your temperature going too high, right? Okay, so this is our so-called baseline design. I don't know what mark we want to call it. It's just an arbitrary reactor, but it does show the desired characteristics of feedback in FHRs. Of course, this is a very basic, simplistic way of looking at it. I have not done like really rigorous testing or done see how what the steady state temperature like is for like the thermohydraulic speed. Okay, but it is what it is. So yeah, we still need to like see power output at specific temperatures, not just the K effective. Okay, so all that and more, maybe you have to use a GenFOAM or some other formula, some other thing to actually see some steady state temperature, because that's a thermohydraulics part. But anyway, that's it for this one. Okay, you've seen the feedback. Okay, thanks for watching. See you.